Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Law Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the men who I learned this truth from, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Barakatam to the hopefully elect. And before I get on with this lesson, I just want to put a disclaimer. I'm not a member of Great Millstone. I'm not a part of any camps. But the Spirit is on me to do these videos to hopefully feed and edify the flock, because that's what it's about at the end of the day. Feeding the sheep, you know, and just want to put this disclaimer out there often, because, you know, you got a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, especially now, the days that we're coming into, all right? A lot of fake imposters, you know, false prophets and things of that nature. So just to clear up any confusion, I'll put that disclaimer. I'm not a part of any Great Millstone camps, but I do learn and I study under the doctrine of Great Millstone. All right. So with that being said, what pretty much inspired me to do this lesson, you know, I was just meditating, basically, because this is pretty much going to be centered around Romans 12:1. All right, concerning the sacrifice. All right, presenting ourselves a living sacrifice, our bodies a living sacrifice. All right, because being in this truth, man, it's definitely a sacrifice, you know, and even more so, because also I was just meditating on, you know, because I watch a lot of brothers, you know, and you know, pretty much, you know, I consider these men, you know, my elders, you know, even though even for brothers that are younger than me, you know, I still consider them my elders, because, you know, in the spirit, you know, they're the older in the spirit, so to say, you know. But like I said, you know, because lately I've just been, like I said, I watch a lot of these brothers, man, and, you know, a lot of these men that I watch, you know, they're young men, you know, real young, you know, and with the, you know, ability to be able to break down the scriptures and things of that nature. You know, these are young men able to break these scriptures down in these breakdowns. All right, these are young men capable of doing these things. You know, because for the most part, um, the Lord, he for the most part, he deals with young men. All right, you know, a lot of brothers coming to the truth of at fairly young ages, you know, um, and, you know, because that's not to say that, you know, the Lord might not wake up a Jake, you know, who's up in age or whatnot, but for the most part, you know, for the most part, the Lord deals with young men, you know, like the apostles, the elders, you know, they've came in fairly young, all right, and again, you know, that's a part of the sacrifice, because, you know, like a child, all right, um, you know, you like when you're trying to teach a child something, you know, you gotta nip it. You gotta get it while it's fresh and hot, you know, because, you know, when the child went in, you know, the stages to where they're like a sponge and they're soaking everything up. You know, a child is either easy to train, they're easy to work with, all right, easy to groom and nourish, all right, you know, because you try to teach an elder man, you know, someone who's up in age, you know, for the most part, man, it's like you can't tell them nothing, because they feel that they've experienced life, they've seen it all, you know, whatever the case may be, all right, and, you know, for the most part, when you try to teach a lot of these older jigs, all right, you know, for the most part, man, they're pretty much done for, because I mean, there's nothing you can really tell them, you know, because like I said, you know, for the most part, the Lord, he deals with young men, all right, and again, like I said, that's a part of the sacrifice, you know, because when you're young, all right, you know, part of the sacrifice is pretty much, you know, being nourished in His truth and separated, spiritually separated and detached from this world, you know, like the worldly pleasures, you know, going to the clubs and, just doing all the things of the flesh and of this world. You know, when you come into this truth, which again, a lot of times it could be fairly young. All right. A part of that sacrifice, man, is because one thing, all right, that's taught, all right, one thing we have to understand is being in this truth is not it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy, you know, because that's where a lot of people fall off coming into the truth after some time. People just realize, this thing is just not for them. A lot of people, they come into the truth and try to bring that worldly mindset into the truth, try to incorporate it in the truth, and it just doesn't work. There's no lukewarm in this thing. It's either one or the other. You're either going to be hot and on fire for Yahweh Shemel Shah, or you're just going to be, a partaker in this world. Because there's no in between. And again, that's the part of the sacrifice, giving up the fleshly desires and things of that nature. And again, that's what pretty much inspired me to do this lesson. So I'm just going to get into a few precepts dealing with that. All right, because it's I think it's Proverbs 22:6, if I'm not mistaken, where it talks about training up a child. Because one thing, all right, being in this truth, man, you gain experience. All right. And again, coming into this truth, you grow up in this truth, you deal with the frustrations of this life. All right, you gain your experiences, go through your trials and tribulations and things of that nature. All right. And again, in return, you can teach the younger generation, so to say, because you have that experience, from your youth. All right. But let me get this real quick. I think it's like I'm in Psalms. I think it's Psalms. I think it's Proverbs 22. Proverbs 22:6. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." So again, all right. Like I said, a lot of times the Lord, he'll deal with the man, bring him into the truth, when he's fairly young. A lot of brothers, I hear the stories, the brothers, how they come into this thing when they're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, fairly young ages. And like I said, I watch some of the brothers that I watch, man, they're young, man. They're very young, younger than me. And again, because coming into this truth at a young age, all right, you're it's more susceptible. You're more susceptible to being nourished and brought up in the truth. All right, like I said, like a child. All right, you want to teach a child something. The best time to get it is while they're young. The stages where they're like a sponge and they soak up everything. They mimic everything. The monkey see, monkey do type. That monkey see, monkey do type attitude. All right, because best believe, man, whatever a child, whatever he's taught, while he's a child, all right, more than likely, that child's gonna grow up, with whatever, whatever he was raised on, whatever he was around, whatever his environment was like, so that's kind of how we are in the spirit, because the scriptures do talk about being born again, all right, coming in as newborn babes, all right. Again, because like I said, man, you have these individuals, that are up in age. You can't really tell them nothing. You can't really work with someone who's up in age, someone who feels that they've experienced life, and no one, especially no one younger, all right, a young man can tell them nothing, all right. But like I said, that's not to say that the Lord can't, wake someone who's up in age and bring him into the truth. You do have cases like that, all right. But like I said, for the most part, all right, the Lord, He deals with young men. All right. Like I said, the apostles, the elders, man, they came in fairly young, been doing this thing 20, 30, 35 years. You know, they they grow up in the truth. All right. Um, and they're, because the scriptures do talk about how the Lord, he was, set up apostles, he sets up, pastors and preachers and things of that nature, according to his heart. Are not these, fake preachers and whatnot in these churches going to theological schools and all this other crap. All right, the Lord sets up, he sets up men who he wants to teach and to rule over other men. He sets up apostles and things of that nature. All right, the Lord does that. All right, you don't need to go to a theologian school or anything like that. All right, but again, just using the apostles as an example, they experienced, they came into the truth fairly, very young ages. They've done their due diligence to be able to, teach, brothers like myself, and others, you know. But again, because what that requires experience, you you come into the truth fairly young. The Lord uh, deals with you, allows the Spirit to sup with you. All right, you gain wisdom, you gain knowledge. All right, you gain your experience, you get your stripes, so to say. All right, and again, because you just can't get that with someone um who comes to who's someone who's up in age. All right, and who's already experienced life. All right, um because in a sense, what sense would it make, for someone who's up in age, someone who's already lived their life, and lived all their pleasures and done everything that they want, and then come into the truth. What this what sacrifice is there really? Because like I said, coming to the truth, man, you putting all that behind you. you know Again, going pursuant to Romans 12:1. All right, present your bodies living sacrifice. All right, again, growing up, living your life basically in exclusion from the world and all this lustful pleasure. All right, I'm gonna go to Luke 18:21, I think. Luke 18. I'm gonna start at matter of fact, I'll start at verse 15. Luke 18:15. It says, "And they brought unto him also infants, that he would touch them. But when his disciples saw it, they rebuked him." So these were, young children, right, trying to come up to Yahushua, right? It says, "But Yahushua called them unto him and said, Suffer little children to come unto me." It's like verse 16. "But Yahushua called them unto him and said, Suffer little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of the Most High." All right. So again, because like I mentioned earlier, coming to this truth, man, you literally, through the Spirit, you're born again. All right, you gotta start over. Everything that you were taught, everything that you've learned, that pretty much has to get thrown at the door. I often use the example of how I was a part of the one camp, the I forgot the name of it, but basically Comfy's camp. All right, I often use this example of how I was a part of that camp since 2009. All right, before I really submerged myself under the doctrine of Great Millstone. 10 years I was a part of that camp. And wasn't really learning much. And the the little that I did learn, I mean, it was just on a basic level. Yeah, learned that I was an Israelite, learned the so-called white man is a devil, and all these other things, but just on a basic level. In 10 years, I was a part of that camp. All right, but been following Great Millstone Doctrine for just to put a number out there, I'll say about 10 months fully. All right, because in the beginning, you jump around from camp to camp. See you're hopping around, you're window shopping and things of that nature. So, like I said, when I fully was convinced that Great Millstone has the truth, all right, and I fully submerged myself under the doctrine of Great Millstone. It's been about 10 months now since I really I'm convinced that Great Millstone has the truth. It was only 10 months. I've only been following Great Millstone for 10 months, and out of the 10 months following Great Millstone, I've learned more than I ever learned in all the 10 years that I was following after that, the Comfy's camp. All right, in 10 months, I've learned more than I did in 10 years. All right, and even with that, all right, because I say that to say this, all right, even following after that camp for 10 years, all right, coming into the Great Millstone Doctrine, I found out, I'm still finding out that, even with that, still had to be refreshed. It still had to be reborn. All right. Because even a lot of stuff that I learned in that camp, all right, it was just, because, and this is why, this is how I know a lot of these camps, man, they're paid off, man. A lot of these Israelite groups, these, a lot of these leaders, man, they're paid off, man. That camp was no different, because a lot of that stuff that they taught, because like I said, man, coming into this truth and trying to incorporate like a worldly doctrine, all right, it just doesn't, it's not gonna mix, all right. And that's exactly what a lot of these camps they do. They incorporate this, a lot of the Christian theology and things of that nature. All right. So like I said, because even with that, following that camp for 10 years, almost 11 years, coming into the Great Millstone Doctrine, all right, I found out, still finding out that even with that, man, I'm still having to pretty much clean up and purge myself from a lot of that stuff that I picked up along the way. I'm still learning, because like one thing, like example, like the hell doctrine, all right, because some things, it clicks right away, but other things it's just like, you got to really, and this is something that the apostles, the elders, they teach. Don't just take their word for it. Look into things, all right. And that's exactly, because like I said, like with the hell doctrine, all right, that's one of those things. Like I said, some things it clicked right away. It was easy. But some things I was like, well, wait a minute now. I don't know about that one. I definitely got to go back and, look into that. And the hell doctrine, man, that was one of those things, because, most of us believe in that hell doctrine, that there's a place, a spiritual place where your spirit burns forever or whatever. Most of us grew up in that belief. And so, like I said, that was one of those hard pills for me to swallow. But sure enough, looking into things, all right, doing my own diligent research, all right, I've come to the conclusion that, I believe the Great Millstone concerning the hell doctrine is correct. There is no place called hell, all right. But nevertheless, all right, that was just one of many things that had to be refreshed and had to cast out and and it's humbling. I'll tell you that, man. All right, because you think you know something, and when you find out you really don't know nothing, man. That can be humbling. If you take it the right way, it can humble you. All right, and like I said, because a lot of the men that I watch, all right, those certain brothers, they don't want to be considered elders. All right, just nevertheless through the spirit, because they've been in this thing longer than me. I still consider them elders. And even brothers that are younger than me. I still just consider them elders, all right, because they have that experience. They have that time, all right. They're older, and through the spirit. But yeah, So going back to Luke 18 and 16 again, it says, "But Yahushua called unto them and said, Suffer little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of the Most High. Verily I say unto you, whosoever shall not receive the kingdom of the Most High as a child shall in no wise enter therein." So you see again, because we all have to be born again, man. All right. And again, this goes back to what I was saying. This is why, for the most part, the Lord, he deals with young men, because again, with that is more of a sacrifice. All right. Because, a lot of us, of course, when we're young, we want to do the whole party thing, and, we want to live life, experience life, and, all that stuff. All right. But again, it's a sacrifice, because coming to the truth, man, you got to cut all that. You got to cut all that stuff out, man. Verse 18, it says, "And a certain ruler asked him, saying, Good master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And Yahushua said unto him, Why callest thou me good? None is good save one, that is the Most High. It says, Thou knowest the commandments: do not commit adultery, do not kill, do not steal, do not bear false witness, honor thy father and thy mother. And he said, All these have I kept from my youth up." So you see, all right. Because again, when you're taught anything at a young age, all right, whether it's righteousness, whether it's wickedness, whatever your environment was when you're a youth, all right, whatever your influence is, because at some point we've all had some type of influence growing up, all right, whatever it is, man, that's what you're gonna, that's pretty much what's going to conform you, all right, that's what's going to shape you and mold you up, all right. And again, this is why, again, the Lord dealing with young men, all right, because that's when we're in our youth, we're pretty much in our prime, all right. Brothers is out there on the highways and byways, all right. Again, because for the most part, brothers, they're young men, even brothers that are in their 30s or 40s, all right, that might be considered old in this society, all right. But even brothers that are in their 30s, their 40s, that's still considered young, all right. But again, it's more of a sacrifice, because again, brothers out there on the highways and byways, present their bodies a living sacrifice, as the scriptures say, battling the elements, all the demons and things of that nature. It's more of a sacrifice, all right. Instead of going out to the clubs and things of that nature, going out to do some wickedness, all right. Brothers is out there on the highways and byways, all right. That's a part of the sacrifice, all right. Verse 21, it says, "And he said, All these have I kept from my youth up. And when Yahushua heard these things, he said unto him, Yet lackest thou one thing: sell all that thou hast, and distribute unto the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven. To come and follow me." All right, but the point, all right, verse 21, all right, this was a young man. He kept the commandments from his youth up, all right. Apparently, this young man, he was appeared to be raised in the truth, all right, from a young age, and he kept the ordinances which he was raised in, all right. Because again, you come into the truth at a young age, and the spirit it nourishes you, all right. Get that real quick, that's not might be Ephesians. It's either Ephesians or Timothy's. Let me try First Timothy's. Yep, First Timothy's 4 and 6. It says, "If thou put the brethren in remembrance of these things, thou shalt be a good minister of Yahushua HaMashiach, nourished up in the words of faith and of good doctrine, whereunto thou hast attained." So you see, all right, because once you get this truth, all right, at a young age, you get this truth, man, and you hold on to it. The older you get, man, because like I said, the spirit, Yahweh Shem Shai, it nourishes you, all right, trains you up. It deals with you. Wisdom, if the Lord sees that your heart is sincere with it, all right, the Lord allow wisdom to come unto you and sup with you, all right, and deal with you accordingly, all right. because being in this world full of sin, man, and wickedness, man, it's easy to fall off. It's easy to, go astray. All right, it's easy. It's easy to be wicked in this world. All right, and again, this is why, you know, um, having this truth, man, it nourishes you up. And the Spirit takes care of you, man. It guides you. All right, and again, man, because you just don't get that with um, you know, people that are up in age, man. They feel like they've experienced everything and they've went through life, man. You can't tell them nothing, especially if it's coming from a young man, especially if it's coming from a so-called black, Hispanic, or American Indian young man. All right, can't tell them nothing. But it's all a part of the sacrifice, man. Coming in at a young age and just casting off the cares of this world, and living in pleasure and lust. All right. There's also one in 2 Timothy's 2 and 2 Timothy's 3, actually. 2 Timothy's 3 and 13, verse 14. 2 Timothy's 3:14. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned. All right. And again, why is that? All right. Matter of fact, let me read on verse 15. It says, and that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Hamashiach Yahushai. So you see, all right, growing up in this truth and being nourished, which that's what the Spirit does. Like I said, it takes care of us, it guides us. All right, gives us the wisdom on how to move and deal with wisdom, deal wisely. All right, but these are things that we learn while we're young, because again, when you're young, man, that's the time to like to strike, while the iron is hot, man. That's when you want to get on the horse, because again, a child, he's more susceptible, he's more prone, he's more teachable. All right, soaking everything that's told to him. That's the characteristics of a child, and that's why, like I read before, all right, Yahushua said, suffer not the children. All right, you can't make it into the kingdom without being born again. All right, and that's through the Spirit. Because again, the older you get, man, the more it's just whatever. And again, gotta reiterate, because it's not to say that the Lord doesn't call in people up in age. That's not to say that the Lord doesn't do that. All right, but just speaking as for them in the most part. All right, that's you're growing up in the truth and you experience certain things, you go through certain things. All right, it gives you that experience. All right, and this is why again you looking up to men like the apostles and the elders. All right, because I'm just gonna put myself out there, man. Every time the apostles, the elders, man, they give certain advice. They say certain things, certain topics or whatever, man. And I'm just sitting there like a kid, man, just soaking it all in, man. Because again, these men, all right, they went through, all those phases. A lot of us are going through currently, or haven't yet experienced. All right, but nevertheless, they've been through it. All right, they can say they've been there. They've done that. All right, because they went through that experience. Like I said, they came in at young ages, fairly young ages. All right, they were nourished up and they got their stripes. They went through their experiences, their tribulations. All right, and now they're set up to where they can teach younger brothers and younger men like us. All right, like I mentioned earlier, like the scriptures say, man, the Lord sets up apostles and prophets and teachers and things of that nature. The Lord sets individuals up. All right, matter of fact, let me Ecclesiastes. Check my time. Ecclesiastes 1 and that's not what I want, but I'll go ahead and read it because it kind of ties in. Ecclesiastes 1:16, it says, I communed with mine own heart, saying, Lo, I am come to great estate, and have gotten more wisdom than all they that have been before me in Jerusalem. Yea, my heart had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. All right, and how is that? All right, being taught up from a young age. All right, our youth. All right, and from there, we go through our certain experiences. All right, to give us that experience. All right, to be able to teach the younger generation. All right, guide the younger generation, because that's what we're supposed to do. The older we get, we're supposed to guide the younger generation and teach the younger generation. Because I said this a while ago. Actually, I said this a couple of years ago, and this is something I still think about today. But and I gotta remember how I said it. It was something along the lines like, if, let's just say, this generation now, right now, today, taught the younger generation on how to be better than they were. All right, if that tradition continued, would people eventually get to a point where they're perfect? If that makes sense. If the younger if the older generation, if each older generation taught the younger generation how to be better than they were, all right, if that tradition continued on, they kept passing that information down, that knowledge down on how to be better than they were, all right, would it come to a point where eventually, man, people would be perfect? Just something to think about. But of course that's not going to happen, because how it's written out. But just something to think about. If we passed on information, passed on the wisdom, knowledge that we gain, all right, and pass that information on down, taught our sons and our daughters how to be better than us, and then in turn they taught their sons and daughters how to be better, and then they taught their sons and daughters how to be better. Eventually, I mean, there could, would it be possible that there would be a time that people are perfect, but that's just it's stuff I think about, because again, the majority of these people, man, these generations, man, again, being that we're in a society, is for the most part, man, if it wasn't for the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah, man, we still be out there in the world and just doing whatever, because ultimately that's what it takes. Because like I said, it's the spirit at the end of the day. It guides. The Lord guides who He wants to be guided, and led who He wants to be led, and things of that nature. Because again, if it wasn't for the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah, man, we still be out there in the world, doing whatever. All right, on our way to destruction. But nevertheless, man, growing up in the truth, man, just again, man, you consider the babe, man. I know I consider myself a babe. I consider myself a newborn babe. Because yeah, I may know more than the average person. The average individual who doesn't know the truth. But when it comes to this truth, man, I don't know nothing. I'm a newborn babe, man. A newborn babe, fresh out the womb. And like I said, man, that's humbling. Something to think about. Because concerning wisdom, all right, concerning this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man, it's everlasting. It doesn't run out. All right. I often say this because as many times as I've read the book of Genesis, the whole book of Genesis, all right, every time I read it, there's always something that fascinates me. There's always something that it's like, damn, because wisdom doesn't run out. It never stops. It's everlasting. So but nevertheless, man, because like I said, matter of fact, let me see if I can look for this real quick. Because like I said, you know, the Lord sets up certain people, certain men, all right, because they, they got that experience, and this is why, concerning the apostles and elders, I myself and other brothers, beginning of the videos, man, we give double honors to the apostles, the elders, and all the men on down respectfully, man, because, beginning at the top, all right, the head, all right, these men, all right, Apostle Elder Tahar, Apostle Elder Gabar, so on and so forth, all right, they've done their due diligence, all right, they did their, they pretty much, did their time, their due diligent research and things of that nature, all right. And even more so because when you like they're back during their time, man, all right, they didn't have the internet. See, now things are more easier for us because we have the internet. We just go on Google or whatever. But they did their due diligent research, man. All right, going to the libraries, actually sitting down and reading books and things of that nature. All right, because like I said, with us, man, things are readily accessible. All right, but like I said, concerning the apostles, the elders, man, they did their due diligence. All right, and again, because the scriptures do talk about giving double honors to your elders. All right, because they're basically, they're our spiritual spiritual parents, man, our spiritual fathers. All right, because again, matter of fact, go ahead and get it. First Corinthians, I think. 1 Corinthians 12 and 28. It says, and the Most High have set some in the church, first apostles, secondary prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles, then gifts of healings, helps, governments, diversities of tongues. All right. But again, basically, because like I said, the Lord sets up certain men, all right, to teach, to lead, the younger generation, the younger men, all right. Because, one thing also, I often hear the Apostle Elder Tahar often talks about this, how he often talks about how damn, it just slipped my mind. Damn, it just slipped my mind. Yeah, it just slipped my mind. But yeah, because like I said, concerning the apostles, the elders, it's like the same thing with us. All right, they came in fairly young. All right, they grew up and they were nourished in the truth. All right, they were put in that work. They're still doing it to this day. All right, they're still out there on the highways and byways and doing videos and things of that nature. Feeding the flock and edifying the flock. All right, they're still doing it today. And again, these men are supposed to be left here as an example for us. All right, and like I said, man, whenever the apostles, the elders, they do videos on certain topics, man, you're just sitting there and you're just taking it, like a child, man. That's like like a parent that reads a bedtime story to their child, and they're just sitting there and just loving every second of it. That's how I get, because again, because these men, all right, they've got that experience, all right. They put their due diligence in, they made themselves sacrifice for us. All right, let me get this real quick in the Romans 5. Yeah, because again, ultimately it's about feeding and edifying the flock. All right, because yeah, the apostles, they do what they do for us, because ultimately, the scriptures say you're working out your own salvation. All right, but working out our own salvation. All right, but being the fact that we want to please the Most High. All right, and how do you do that? Again, you feed and edify the flock. All right, because especially now, Jake, man, Jake is waking up, and Jake is desperate for answers, desperate for the truth. All right, this is why the apostles, the elders, man, they're so diligent still unto this day. All right, for us, for the flock. Let me get this real quick and Romans 5 and starting at verse 3, it says, and not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. So you see, again, because this is, again, because like I said, part of the this sacrifice, because like I said, man, it's not easy being in this truth, man. All right, you're gonna go through a hell of a lot, man. Whatever our lot be, man. Whatever it is that the Lord set it up for us to endure, man. It's not gonna be easy, man. But nevertheless, all right, we got we go through these things. All right, in the next generation, man, that's coming up. All right, we can be that that example, like the apostles, the elders. I look up to these men. Like I said, man, whenever they give advice or anything, man. All right, because like a brother could do a video on the same topic, but each video, man, it'll be something that you pick up, man, something that you learn. Yeah, that was it on that. But so yeah, that experience, man, and this is why, like I said, man, for the most part, Lord deals with young men, all right, coming into the truth fairly young. Like I said, man, I came privy to this knowledge roughly 10, 11 years ago, man. I was like 18, 19, still in high school, man. Had what they call a so-called whole life to live. But hey, man, the Spirit just put it on me to where, I'd rather just there's nothing to this life, man. This life is done, man. There's nothing to this life. This isn't living. And I kind of always had that that feeling even before that, that there's nothing to this life, man. I've never been to a club in my entire life. That's just never been my scene, as well as a lot of other things. Like I said, man, coming into the truth, man, a lot of times the apostles, the elders, they say some certain things and it just makes sense. Because a lot of the stuff that I believe now, I kind of, in my spirit, man, even before I knew the truth, man, it was just in my spirit, a lot of these things, man. But again, they're there to tell us these things because, they did their time. All right, they went through their tribulation, their experiences, for us to to teach brothers like us. And there is another matter of fact, go Sirach 33 and Sirach 33 or Ecclesiasticus 33 and verse 17. Ecclesiasticus 33 and 17, it says, consider that I labored not for myself only, but for all them that seek learnings. So you see, again, damn, that hit it right on the money. All right, because again, that pretty much sums it all up. All right, because again, because like I said, yeah, we got to work out our own salvation, but ultimately, we want to please the Most High. And how do you do that? You feed His sheep. All right, you feed the flock, you feed the lambs of Yahweh Shem Shai, because that's what it's about at the end of the day. So again, brothers like the apostles, the elders, those men that got their time, they did their due diligent and research, spent all type of time and research and things of that nature. All right, they did it for us, to teach us so we can learn. All right, because also I was gonna say one thing that's what the Wadi Yahweh Shem Shai, because often I hear the apostle Tahar talk about how often talk about him. He often says how basically They teach the men under them. Basically, they grooming us up to be teachers. Basically, I often hear the apostle Elder Tahar say that. And I was like, damn, that's deep. All right, because a lot of these camps, they don't teach that. All right, a lot of these camps, man, it's just one guy, and he's just he it's what he says. You can't research. Don't look in. It's forbidden to look at other books and and all that stuff. It's forbidden to do your own research. But no, the apostles, the apostle Elder Tara, man, he's constantly going into how. Well, all the apostles are going into. They're constantly going into how we gotta do our own research, and because one thing the Elder Apostle Gabar talks about is how Jake is lazy. Jake wants everything to be given to them. Jake is spoiled for the most part, basically. But it can't be like that. Like I said, the example that I use with the hell doctrine. When I first found that out, I first heard that there's no such thing as hell. All right, that was one of those pills that was hard for me to swallow. It was hard for me to, I couldn't. But again, with did my own due diligent research, and I came to the conclusion. I believe what the Great Millstone says. What the elders, what they say is correct. But yeah, teaching us up to be teachers, or grooming us to be teachers. All right, because it's more than just sitting on this gift, man. It's more than just sitting on this treasure. Yeah, man, that's pretty much it, man. Just dealing with the matter of fact, because I recorded it. I'll go ahead and record it all day. I'll go ahead and get it. Romans 12:1. Make sure this thing's still recording on me. Romans 12:1. It says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service. So this is our job, man. This is our duty. All right. Because again, with that, growing up in this truth and being nourished. All right. Because again, ultimately, we all want the gift. We all want salvation. Slakia. We all want that. Our part. In the kingdom. Being pillars. But we got to do this work, and again, we got to present our bodies as a living sacrifice. So again, it just makes all the sense why, for the most part, the Lord deals with young men. All right. A lot of times we come into this truth fairly young. All right, because that's a part of the sacrifice. All right, doing away with all the lust, the worldly lust and pleasures. All right, and coming to serve Yahweh Shem Shai. It just makes all the sense in the world. But this is something I was meditating on. Hopefully, I wasn't too long-winded, and hopefully, this was edifying to whom it may concern. So with that, I give all credit once again to Yahweh Shem Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. The men who I learned this truth from, the men who took, the men who did their due diligent research, all right, present themselves, sacrifice, all right, cast off, pretty much threw away their life to serve, please Yahweh Shem Shai, and feed and edify us, all right. So again, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, sincerely, and Yahweh Shem Shai brought them to the hopefully elect. And until next time, Lord's will, I say shalom.